Yo, welcome to the first official episode of the Blindfold Off Podcast, where we take off our blindfolds and open our eyes to new views, topics, and discussions. I'm your host, Emmanuel Wongkamdang.
And I'm Ernie and Emmanuel.
And to start this off, we're going to start with introductions about who we are.
I'll go first. My name's Ernie Hector Armenta IV. I'm a sophomore at Bethany Lutheran College. My major is business administration, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I've lived in Tucson, Arizona for about all my life up until this past year. I moved here for college, and this is probably my second year on campus, and I'm loving every bit of getting away from home with some ups and downs.
Yeah.
My hobbies are baseball, working out, watching podcasts on YouTube and everything like that. I love just talking to people too, and that's probably it. Fitness and exercises are probably my hobbies.
And as for me, my name's Emmanuel Wongkamdang. You can just shorten the Wongkamdang to LKD. That's what a lot of people call me. I'm a junior at Bethany Lutheran College with a major in media arts. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. I've only lived there for about 2 years because I used to live in the suburbs of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And my hobbies include recording and making music, playing video games, making videos, taking nice walks outside to relax. Now that it's finally warming up, you know, we're getting 50, 60 degree weather.
Yeah, it's no longer 10 degrees.
No more ashy season.
I'm still ashy.
Hey, I got lotion.
Hey, yo, chill.
And of course, watching anime.
Of course. So, we wanted to start off with going through our goals. And for me, I'll start off because you asked the first question. So, I'll start off. What are my goals? My goals are I want to be successful, and I want to be indisputably successful, where it's not like, he has that podcast, he just works there. I want to be indisputably successful where I'm when they say my name, they're like, that guy, yeah, I know that guy, he's doing really well, he's a good guy, he's really well, he has great character, he's all of the above, check the boxes, resume's looking good, everything like that. And yourself?
And for me, my goal is to be the best content creator that I can be. I want to have the best character as well. You know, like you said, you know, when people see or hear your name, they're like, that guy's dope. That guy's awesome. I want to meet him. I want to have a conversation with him. So for content creator, how that works with being a content creator is that, so I enjoy making music. I enjoy making videos, TikToks, artwork, and with everything I do, I want to establish a relationship. So I have some clients that I have a pretty steady relationship with, and I want to keep working with them. I want to see them grow. So I want to be a type of person who not only grows myself, but I want to help other people grow as well.
That's good. All right, we'll start off with this question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Emmanuel?
In 5 years? So in 5 years, I see myself to get out of my parents' house.
Definitely.
You know.
Definitely.
By 25, you know, that's what I want to do, get out of my parents' house. And right now I'm very busy with maintaining school, music, artwork for myself, but also music and artwork for other people. I have artists that hit me up for features, hit me up for artwork. So music and artwork is what I want to do for my life. And if I'm busy where I'm at right now, 5 years from now, I want to be 5 times busier. It's good to have those problems. There's good problems that you want to have in your future. And that's where I want to be. I want to be super productive. I want to have a life where I am flourishing in music, artwork, videos, like I said before, to be the best content creator that I can be, and to entertain people and to inspire people. That's my one goal. That's my true wish in my life.
Okay. So then with the second question, on a scale from 1 to 10, where do you see yourself? 1 being a baby and you have everything done with yourself, for yourself. And a 10 being a high value man such as Elon Musk. I had a friend the other day. Well, he challenged the question. He said, that's unfair. Why would I have to compare myself to Elon Musk since he's older than me and he's lived his life already? Then it had me thinking for a while, and I was like, well, he's kind of right. It is very true that he has lived his life already, but regardless, it is reality, and it's indisputably correct that he's a 10, and he's up there on the looks, money, status, and he's a 10. So on that scale, where would you see yourself from a 1 to a 10 being Elon Musk?
Ooh. So on that scale, right, on the scale comparing ourselves to a famous person, or just...
Well, to a 10. Well, because that in reality, that's a 10.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 10.
I would say right now, so at first, so we did have this conversation before. I said I was a 7. That was a little too generous. I would say I'm a 6 instead of a 7, because I still have a lot to learn about life. I still have to experience a lot of new things, a lot of new experiences, relationships with people. There's still so much more for me to learn and to bounce back from and to grow. And even in knowledge and finances and stuff, I know somewhat about finances. I know what a mortgage is. I mean, I hope by this age you know what a mortgage is.
Yeah, the basic stuff that you need to know.
Yeah, the basic stuff.
To get into an adult.
Yeah, like index funds. Like, are you familiar with index funds and mutual funds and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. I'm a business major, so I should be.
Oh, of course.
I should be. I
Of
should
course,
be
yeah.
familiar. If I'm not, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah. I'm learning from Dave Ramsey and all those other business financial leaders.
So you said a 6? So
Yeah, I would say I'm a 6 right now.
5 years ago, where would you rank yourself?
5 years ago,
Little 15-year-old Emmanuel running around.
15-year-old running around.
Freshman, sophomore in high school.
Freshman, sophomore in high school, running around with my roller backpack.
Dude, I think I had the strap one where it looked like a briefcase.
Oh, yeah?
I went from right shoulder to left hip. I don't know what I was doing.
Dripping.
My dad let me out the house like that. It was sad.
That's what you're doing, drip check. All right, shout out to ones who know that reference.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But anyway, 15-year-old me. Let's see, 15-year-old me. I was just starting to learn how to rap. I was trying to make music. I wanted to be very popular. Growing up, I never had a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that music was a way for me to make more friends, get people to like me more. And I liked music, but it was always overshadowed by that desire to be appreciated by other people. It was always overshadowed by the desire to... I didn't have the right intentions.
So you envied other people and what they had,
I envied
relationships they had.
Right. So I thought that making music would get me on their level, but it just dug me down a deeper and deeper hole. That looking back, I wish I could just sun myself, just take my 15-year-old self out for ice cream.
I'm outside in the AMG, right outside. TT.
Yeah, I wish I could have just sat down with them, talked with them, like, hey,
it's gonna be all right.
It's gonna be all right. Bro. Not everyone's gonna like you. Just remember why you're doing this. Remember what's your reason for doing all of this.
That's just growing pains.
Purpose. Yeah, growing pains.
That's just growing pains. Everybody's honestly been through the same thing. Yeah. The same thoughts, like wanting to be liked, wanting to be appreciated by other people, especially since you're 15. Like, you don't know any better. You don't know that it truly, some of it matters, but a lot of it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a lot of icing on the cake. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that you really don't need.
Right. It's sweet in the moment, but afterwards you're like, and it wasn't really necessary. So rating myself, I would say I was a 3.
A 3? Okay.
Yeah.
So you made a 3-point difference.
Yeah, 3-point difference.
So then what makes you that 3-point difference from Emmanuel, 15-year-old, to 21-year-old Emmanuel? 20-year-old Emmanuel.
There you go.
Sorry.
I would say the difference is definitely knowing my purpose, why I'm making music. Right now, I make music to make people feel good and know good. That's my mantra I've created for myself. Feel good, know good. I want people to feel good when they listen to my music. You know, they can listen to it in the car with their friends, you know. And I want people to know good, because that half of it is I want people to know the message behind it, the inspiration behind it, why I made this music. So knowing my purpose, growing up, not caring what anyone else thinks of me, because I'm just in my own lane. I don't get distracted as much anymore. I still do in a way, you know, posting on my stories, trying to get
what's a distraction? If you want to use that word, what's a distraction?
A distraction? I would say comparing myself to other people. That's definitely a distraction from your goals and your purpose.
Comparison kills.
It definitely does.
I heard this this reference from Joseph Hines and Eric H. Austin. So basically, me and Emmanuel, we watched this podcast. It's called The Roommates Podcast. You can follow them at The Roommates HTX, because they're from Houston, Texas. They're on Instagram. You can follow them on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. And I think it's a great podcast. It helps basically young men grow into men and basically find their way. Even older men who can't even find their way or who are lost, basically build good character and stay strong in themselves, and not basically doubt themselves, and basically be men in society who impact other people in lives in a great way. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great podcast, and they have very deep and good conversations with questions that need to be asked. Right. But anyways, there were special guests called Eric Austin, Harrison, I believe. Then his name's Joseph Hines. So, and they're suit makers called Harrison and Hines. They basically call themselves clothiers. I don't know why. Like, it's just a fancy way of saying I make suits, bro. But anyways, Joseph had a great comparison. He's like, dude, comparison kills. Just imagine you're on the highway and you're driving and you see another car. Let's say you see a Tesla over there, and you're like, dang, look at that Tesla. It looks super nice. And what happens if you keep staring at that car?
You're going to crash.
You're going to crash, right?
Right.
So you can't be admiring too long, or else you're going to crash. So you yourself, on your way to your purpose, you're going to crash and fall short of creating your purpose, because you're looking at other people and you're looking at what they have rather than what you need to do. It's okay to look over, admire, and be like, dang, what they have is really nice. I want to be like that. I want to look forward to that. Right. It's maybe something to inspire yourself, right? Yeah. Motivation, such as David Goggins, Hafiz and Chris, Joseph and Eric, and maybe a special athlete if you guys are athletes, or a musician, or just a peer of yours that you want to be more like. Mm-hmm. And it's good to admire it, but you can't envy and want everything that they have, or else you're going to crash and you're going to lose sight of what you need to be doing. Right. And I thought that was a great like example of anything with comparison. Because truthfully, in sports, it's hard not to compare yourself. He's like, man, I need to be more like that guy. My stats aren't as good, but that's energy you're wasting from yourself. Right. From yourself, and you're doing it and you're worrying about somebody else. Imagine if you took that energy and just applied it to yourself. What would you be doing right now? Where would you be?
Exactly.
What can you be doing right now? Like, honestly. That's insane. It's crazy, yeah. But anyways, not to get too sidetracked, but I thought that was a great example.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I actually remember that example because I was listening to that podcast about 2 days ago.
That was a great example.
Yeah, I was like, sheesh. Like, yo, that's bars.
He's spitting. Anyways, for myself, I'll answer these questions since I asked you.
Yeah, bounce back to you now, Ernie.
Where do I rank myself on a scale of 1 to 10? A 10 being Elon Musk at a high value. I'd probably say I'm 5. I'm average. I'm average, especially being a college student. I still kind of rely on my parents, but I have the vision, the mindset, the knowledge. I'm still growing, though, in a lot of different ways, especially spiritually and mentally. And spiritually, I need to get closer to God. Truthfully, I've been pretty proud. I've been going to church and everything like that. So I've been growing there. I just need to stay consistent. Then mentally, I still feel like I carry some of those immature characteristics that each of us battle with every day. So
Right.
Some more than others, and some of us you can see it rather than not. But for me, it's still prevalent because I get a little upset sometimes, and you can tell some more. So I'm trying to suppress it and just not so much suppress it, but deal with it and get it out of my system. So I don't do that anymore. And where do I see myself 5 years ago? 15, glasses, probably short, like 5, 7, 8. Pretty big guy, probably like 180 for my age, and that's pretty heavy. I just had knee surgery in my meniscus, and also I got a DVT. I think that was. It's a blood
DVT.
clot. It's a blood clot in my left calf. It's a blood clot in my left calf, and I had to take shots in my stomach and my glute every single day. So it would basically break up the clot in my leg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the blood could flow properly.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and there were a couple scares where it was where the clot could move up and basically clog something in my heart, so I wouldn't be able to.
Oh, shoot.
Be able to function properly. But that was just a scare, but it's not anything like super serious because I'm still here. So
Yeah, you're still here.
Yeah,
so
so
nothing to worry
it definitely
about.
was serious then, but now it's just a relic, something to look at in the past.
Right.
And when I was 15, I was definitely extremely immature. It's just in every single aspect, as in socially, mentally, and emotionally. Like you, we definitely went through the same struggles, as in looking for other people's approval and just trying to fit in. Especially when you're a freshman, you're basically 4 years behind the 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
Or 18, 19-year-olds. And you're trying to just find yourself and basically fit in with a group of people that you've never known or new people that you do know. And people grow and they move on, and like I went through friends left and right trying to find myself, or basically find people who are comfortable with me rather than being comfortable with myself first.
Yeah.
And mentally, I had the vision. I knew what I wanted to do. I know who I was. I knew who I was. I know I had good character. And it stayed true all the way till today. And I'm honestly really proud of that. And the vision, obviously at 15, you're not going to have any of the results, especially since where I was a little baby. I didn't have any accountability. I constantly blamed others for my problems, and I didn't take responsibility at all for anything. I had good grades, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It truly doesn't mean anything. Because you still talk to some freshmen and they're like, "Oh, I have good grades," but okay, but you still act like a little kid.
Right.
And when you're 15, you're like, "I'm grown. I'm in high school. I'm big. Come on, give me."
Nah, boy.
Yeah, nah. Like your TikTok, keep the change.
Yeah, keep the change.
Keep the change.
You can't see what we're doing, but we're doing the lip bite, the ice in my veins, lip bite.
But yeah, that's what I was like at 15. So, where would I rank myself in number wise? I would probably say I'm gonna say a 1, but that's being too harsh. So I'm gonna say a 2.
A 2.
So I'm gonna say a 2. And I feel that's appropriate. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
too, because I've definitely grown so much. And this question I actually got from the Roommates podcast. And the reason I asked it was for two things. I asked because one, it shows you how much growth you've had. And two, it shows you the realization of like how many, or like if you still have those qualities that you still have from when you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you become more self-aware, like, wow, I still act like that. Like, and it's something for you to sit on and think about for the rest of the day, or maybe even for 10 minutes. Like, what was I like? Why did I act like that?
Right.
Do I still act like that?
Yeah.
Why do I act like that? What did I do it for? Maybe this question will help you guys become more self-aware and just even give yourself a pat on the back and show you how much you've grown. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the introductions, and I hope
You guys know a little bit more about us.
more about us and what we do and what basically an essence of what this podcast is going to be about and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And and if you're probably wondering, why did we start this podcast in the first place?
Yeah, that's true.
So what me and Ernie talked about in our introductions is kind of the tip of the iceberg of the in-depth conversations that we've had in the past before. So initially, we wanted to start this podcast because when we had these in-depth conversations about relationships, our 20s, just navigating through life.
What comes in the future, especially since like relationships and stuff, and what makes people do what they do, and how to deal with the past and growing from it. We thought other people would benefit from it too if we had these deeper conversations over a microphone, and you guys are able to basically take something away from it and help you understand those questions. While we grow, you can grow as well, because we're all just trying to figure it out. Yeah. So our audience is geared more towards you guys and the younger people. Basically putting you guys on free game. Yeah. So.
And the thing is, we don't have the answers either. We're still exploring our way through. We just want to start discussions, conversations that you guys hopefully have too. You know, I'm sure you guys have similar questions about life and what my purpose is. How do I deal with this burden that I had in the past, and how can I grow from it? How can I evolve?
I agree with 99% of what Emmanuel said, but I'd like to change I'm sure to I know. I know for a fact you guys have these same questions, because if me and Emmanuel have those same questions, and there's about 7 billion people in this world, and you don't think that thought crossed your mind or crossed somebody else's mind, or even your parents' mind, your grandparents' mind, it definitely did. Yeah. It 1000% did. At least that's what I believe. And we're giving you our answers on the best of our ability rather than telling you what to do. We basically came with these answers by asking questions and learning through experience. Right. And basically what wisdom we have already is we're just sharing with you guys. Maybe you could take something away from it, or even educate somebody else if you agree with what we're saying. Yeah. We also wanted to cover a lot of the words and stuff we watch and definitely consume through our daily life that helps us grow and find our purpose every day. So one thing, we'll first go through definitions, or basically words we constantly use, just so you guys get more familiar with them. So the first word we use is high value. I think there's two definitions. Personally, then you can give your input. Kevin Samuel's definition is basically looks, money, and status. Simply looks, money, and status. So let's say you're a Victoria's Secret supermodel, and you're more than likely a 10 in looks, and status, you're more than likely a 10. People know who you are. Mm-hmm. And in money, you definitely making a lot of money, especially for those runway shows. So I would definitely say you're a 10. So that would be a 10. Basically anybody that you see, Drake, a 10, Odell Beckham Jr., a 10. BTS a 10.
BTS a 10.
BTS a 10.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's basically the Kevin Samuels definition. Looks, money, and status only, and emphasis on the money and the status, that makes you a 10, and that would make you high value, simply. So then the one I tend to lean towards, and the one I tend to use a lot, is the Roommates definition, or the Roommates podcast definition. And the Roommates podcast definition is, you're a 10 with your character, you're a 10 emotionally, you're a 10 mentally, you're a 10 spiritually, you're a 10 at least physically. You don't have to be a 10 looks, because we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But that's the one I tend to use, because I feel it's a little easier, because not everybody has the money at the moment, and not everybody has the status, and it's much more easier to compare, because a 10 such as Elon Musk, like that dude's like a 12, 15. Like, we could make up numbers for him on a scale of 1 to 10. That guy has tons of money. Jeff Bezos, tons of money.
And Elon Musk is making music now.
X-Ash-12.
Yeah, he has a Transformer as a son.
X-Ash-12. That's a joke, by the way. Just kidding.
No, it's not a joke. He actually has a Transformer as a son.
Transformers. Anyways.
Robots in disguise.
But actually, that's a definition I tend to use, because it's a lot easier, and you can see the growth within yourself, and it's easier to, basically, you're driving on the highway, you see that car, and it's easier to look over, have motivation to that car, rather than,
instead of envy and comparison.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better definition, because it's the whole package. It's not just three things. Like,
it's not just three things.
Like, looks, money, status. Like, sure, you can have all those things, but are you a good person? No.
Right. Like, do you have good character?
Yeah. Do you have great character? Are you spiritually connected with God?
Spiritually connected. Yeah.
Are you emotionally there? Like, you can have all that, but if you're just depressed and.
Yeah, because there's a lot of celebrities that are, famous. They have those looks, money, and status, but inside they're not as high as they are outside.
Sometimes it's easier just to put on a face and just go out and act like something.
Right.
Then you can just go home and be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
So anyways, do you have any input on that?
Any input on that? I would say definitely the second definition of high value is definitely more applicable to everyone else, because if someone doesn't have the money, they can at least have the character within themselves to go out and make that money. As long as you have the character, the drive, the passion, the motivation, that all of those characteristics are what make you high value. Because if you value yourself, if you're willing to, from what I've learned, if you're willing to invest in yourself, then you're just adding more value onto yourself, more value into your actions, what you can pour out into other people. So that's what I got to say.
High value is a mindset.
Right, a mindset.
You walk around like you're high value, people are going to treat you like you're high value. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You walk around knowing that you're confident, not cocky, arrogant confidence, but confident within yourself, and knowing that I'm a high value man. Like, I'm willing to go out and make my money, go chase my purpose, and become a better person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we did the definition of high value. Oh, open-mindedness. Open-mindedness. I know you really wanted to talk about this one. So,
open-mindedness
and the next one.
is so
you can start.
For me, open-mindedness is so key, and it's the whole reason why we started. Or it's the whole reason why I thought of the name for this podcast, because the name is Blindfold Off Podcast. And how we came to that conclusion is we tried to think of names for our podcast, like Open-Minded Podcast, New Perspective Podcast. And then it just occurred to me one day I was working. It was the day after me and Ernie watched an episode of this anime called Jujutsu Kaisen.
Anime of the year, by the way.
Anime of the year is the best anime. Or, I mean, it's one of the best anime.
The best
right
anime
now
this year for sure, 1,000%.
But there's this character whose name is Gojo. He wears a blindfold, but he is supposed to be the strongest jujutsu sorcerer in the universe, in that world. So as soon as he takes off his blindfold, he becomes OP. He possesses infinite power, and he can do anything he wants. So I thought of the name Blindfold Off as a way for us, me and Ernie, and for everyone else, when you take off your blindfold, whether that is your ego, arrogance, ignorance, immaturity, when you take that blindfold off, then you open your eyes to new realms, new knowledge, wisdom, experiences, and you just have a more open mind. And for me, I've learned that having an open mind is so crucial for your growth, because throughout my elementary school years and my high school years, I was kind of closed-minded. I was really negative, honestly. Like, I never thought that I could, because I was always comparing myself to other people. I was like, man, if only I could be as popular as them, if only I could have as much status as them, looks as them. And then as soon as I came to college, I decided to flip the switch. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a different person. It's a new college, new campus, new environment. I'm gonna open my mind. I'm gonna just speak to as many people as I can. And that definitely helped me grow. That open-mindedness, that willingness to break out of my comfort zone, allowed me to grow, create relationships with people, become a better speaker. I don't stutter as much as I did in my high school years now. I'm slower at speaking. Like, I know how to carry myself.
You're more well-spoken, and
more well-spoken, right?
You choose the right words instead of thinking about the words.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically to pick. Because I feel like, I don't know if this is what stuttering is, but stuttering, you're like, I suppose it's a speech impediment for sure, but it's more of like, you're unsure what to say just because you don't know what others are going to say, I suppose. Is that basically a part of it?
Yeah, I would say it's a part of it. Before, I used to stutter. As in stuttering, I mean, I was so nervous to the point where I couldn't get the words out.
That's what I was trying to get at. Like, you're so nervous of how people are going to respond that you just...
Yeah.
And I suppose that goes back to how confident you are in yourself and
right,
and your character. Well, not more so your character, but how confident you are in yourself.
Yeah, how confident you are in yourself.
And also the blindfold is your immaturity too, and your immaturity and your toxicity. And I feel like your immaturity is a big point, because every one of us grows. It's just a matter of how long and what it takes for you to grow. Because some people learn the hard way. Some people learn in a much easier way. They're much more open to basically information and willing to try it. So they wouldn't have as hard of a time than someone who's closed-minded and so just has to learn basically the hard way, or through a bad experience, or through some trauma that they should, basically telling them they should grow and not be this way, act this way, or have an outlook like that.
Right.
For me, people that are open-minded is extremely important, because one, you should always be questioning absolutely everything. Not to the point where you're that little 2-year-old that's why all the time.
But to the point where you actually want to know the information so that you can grow from it.
Mm-hmm. You're asking questions to gain knowledge that you can apply to yourself and that can help you, and that you can maybe hopefully give advice to others. Basically, that's what's important for me for open-mindedness. And another point for open-mindedness, people who are open-minded are definitely willing to try new things and take in new perspective, and I think that's definitely important. You don't have to always agree, but for you to just absorb the information, think about it, sit on it for a while, then give your answer, not be so basically hard-headed where no, it has to be this way in a traditional manner. And then rather when you're open mind, you're willing to absorb the information and think about it and respond back in a level way instead of getting too high on your emotions or too low on your emotion. You're basically willing to respond in a logical, smart way.
Right.
That's what I think open-mindedness is.
And see, something that I just thought of right now was an illustration that my mentor, shout out Andrew Puckett, that my mentor brought to me. It was called the grocery list. I'm not sure if you've heard of this illustration before, but basically the grocery list it's a list of items that you can get from the store. And when you open your mind up to these new items, you don't have to get everything on that list. Say, for example, there's cabbage, strawberries, chocolate, flour, and apples and fruit snacks or whatever.
Milk.
And you can pick and choose what you want. So someone gives you a grocery list of all of these items, all this wisdom, knowledge, and you can pick and choose the ones that are right for you. So the ones that are right for you, for example, would be cabbage, strawberries, milk. And it stuck out to me as it's good to remember, it's good to have an open mind, but it's also good to have a firm foundation so that your brain doesn't spill out.
So
it's good
in a firm foundation, expanding on that, we're talking about good morals and good character and good beliefs.
Yeah. Because you can...
I mean, you could definitely argue good beliefs. Each person could definitely argue that.
Yeah. And with open-mindedness, it's good to... Because, of course, everyone will have their own beliefs. Not every...
We're not always going to agree and hold hands and dance with each other.
Yeah, like a Christian can still learn from a Muslim. A Christian can still learn from a Buddhist. There's still... Each of these religions, for example, they still hold morals that are applicable, that can be used for growth and peace.
I know for a fact some of you right now are like, oh, really? Well, the Quran says this, and the Bible says this, and well, you're just using that part to justify why that religion's not good. You're not really taking a look or dive into it, or maybe even having a conversation or understanding why they're like that. You're just wanting to hide behind your justification so you're not able to be open-minded or learn and grow.
See, and just us having this conversation makes me kind of want to get into Buddhism and Islam just to see what they believe more, because I know about them, but I don't know too much in depth about their religions.
So what you were talking about was how do you even know? You've never talked to them, experienced what they've experienced. You've never even dove into any little bit of their beliefs, or have had a deep enough conversation to make those assumptions, or even make that your definite answer. And I think for me and you, that relates.
Say in war, for example, just to take it a larger picture. Say, for example, in World War II, say, for example, if an American was lost in Germany, and then they saw all the Germans as, bad guys, but then once they're with them a little longer, they realize that we're Americans and Germans are human too. We all have families that we're trying to keep. We all have a country that we love. We all have ways of life that are very similar. So it's like that. So that can be another example.
We're definitely not saying that it's not valid for you to feel or believe that way based on what you've experienced and what you've gone through, but it's definitely not right, or it's definitely wrong. or some of it is wrong. I'm not gonna say all of it is wrong, but some of it is wrong.
Yeah, like it's okay to, like we said, open your mind, but still have a firm foundation so you don't let your brain spill out. Still have that core belief for yourself.
You're able to be so self-aware that you can basically almost like distribute the pieces of what's negative and what's not negative. It's like
not negative, but
what you should be interpreting as their true intent or purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, on to the next definition. We have toxicity, and I know you really wanted to touch on that one, so we'll start with you again.
Toxicity is definitely something that can be misconstrued. We've had a conversation about this before.
Yes, we've definitely had a conversation.
How toxicity can be misconstrued, and
so would you like to give the definition of toxicity first?
Yeah. So to be toxic, one, of course, is the definition of being poisonous. That's a physical thing. Another definition of toxic is unpleasant or unbearable. And something that me and Ernie discussed about is how toxicity can be misconstrued and how it can be used in a selfish way, so to say.
In a manner where you're just basically bouncing off everything that you have to take responsibility for and just labeling it as toxic so you don't have to be responsible for something you've done or even listen to that person with a new viewpoint.
Right, yeah.
Like that.
Like what we talk about, having an open mind.
Then I think you gave a great example last time. It was...
Yeah, what I said was toxicity can be... When something is toxic, it has to be one-sided. And what we mean is, if that person is unwilling to change, and you know that for yourself that you've tried everything to your ability to want to reconcile with them, you know that you're self-aware of what you've done wrong, you're self-aware of your own character. But if they're not self-aware of their character and they're unwilling to change and they're super hard-headed and stubborn, then they're the ones being toxic. But if it's both people having beef and both of you have a problem, that say that person has a problem and you have a problem and you call them toxic, that's not them being toxic at all. That's just you two having beef and being so hard-headed to not wanting to resolve it.
I thought that was a great example too. And I really have nothing to touch on that because I think you covered it really well. That was really good. Then another thing we're going to be talking about a lot is purpose. So going back to toxicity. With the knowledge you know now, how would you know someone is being toxic and unwilling to change, and how would you know that you've tried everything yourself to see if that person is toxic?
Ooh,
that's a good one that I want to ask our guests that are going to come on in a later point.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
It's a great question.
That's really good. So how would you... So with the knowledge I have now... So you're asking, with the knowledge I have now, how would I know if someone is being toxic?
And how do you know that you've tried everything in your power?
I'll say for one example that I have had happen before is I've tried to have an individual conversation with this person, and at the end of the conversation, they were still the same, and I was just trying to get them to talk, see what's on their mind. And then I even had a group conversation with this person. This person was still the same from the beginning of the conversation to the end, is blaming other people for their problems, essentially. And looking back now, yeah, that was a very toxic trait that they have. If they're so yeah. Let me kind of rephrase or summarize what I got from that experience. If they're the same as they were before the conversation started, then that's a sign. That's a red flag. If they're unwilling to change, if they're
unwilling to have a conversation based on or past how they feel and past their negative outlooks or past of blaming other people, if they're unable or unwilling to have a conversation past that, that's definitely toxic.
Yeah. That's a better way to phrase it of what you said.
Mm-hmm. So then how do you know you've tried everything?
I would say, how do you know you've tried everything? I would say if you feel exhausted from them. If you physically feel exhausted, mentally feel exhausted, that's what I would say you've tried everything. Because basically, think of it like this. A video game.
That's true. That's a good example.
Think of a video game. You're exhausting all of your supplies. You're exhausting all of your health gauge. And at the end, if you've tried everything, if you've given up everything that you can, your time, essentially your time, your energy, if you've given up those things, and they're still unwilling to change, then that's a sign that you've kind of tried everything. You've just exhausted yourself of options. You just have to step away and back off.
Mm-hmm. I think the mental and physical thing that you brought out was definitely important, because all of us have definitely been around someone where it's like you feel a heavy like load on your shoulders all day, and it's almost like it's hard to have a conversation with this person because you can't even move past the base level or the basically the negative outer layer that they have, because they don't want to grow up or even move past the problem that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, and even self-reflecting on yourself too, when you are having these conversations with these toxic people. Self-reflection is also another method of how you know that you've tried everything. Because if you can't think of what else to do, and you've looked inward at yourself already, you've thought about...
I've tried being nice to this person. I've tried asking more questions besides that, but they constantly keep being negative or not having a good mindset, or even trying to move past just the base layer conversation that I was trying to give an example for earlier. And I feel like that's a good way to identify that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely yeah, that's a really good question. And
I'm excited for the guests we're gonna have on.
Yeah, I'm excited
on later because
see their point of views and perspectives.
Definitely, just because they're older and they're able to give us a more clear-cut definition, and they're smarter. They have PhDs and everything.
Yeah,
they're smarter than us. Yeah, it's good to intake the information and just ask them really good questions. And I'm really excited for that. I hope you guys are excited too, because I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for this growth. I'm excited for
this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, let's define purpose.
Purpose is a very, very
There's a lot of questions that come to mind when you find purpose. How do you know it's your purpose? How do you know God has that purpose for you? How do you know that it's right? How do you know this is going to be your purpose for this time being? How do you know that's not your purpose for your whole life? How do you know that your purpose is just in this instance or just in this moment? It could change a lot. There's a lot of questions that go into purpose. But I would say your purpose is something definitely you're passionate in, and something definitely you're good at, and something definitely that you're passionate, you're good at, and
something that you can help other people with, right?
True. That is true.
Yeah.
Or something that you want so badly that you're just gonna sacrifice everything for it.
Right. I've had someone ask me this question based on purpose is, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to attain it? That's how you know that that's your purpose. That's how you know that this is the way that you need to go, you need to pursue.
That is true. You can fail a bunch of times and still know that, like, that's your purpose. Because it's almost this feeling in your heart. It's like indescribable. Like you've done it so many times that you're like, oh, it's my baby. I don't want to let it go. But in some instances, you have to let it go to be able to grow and see what other things are in store for you. Get to basically getting to the good part. And sometimes you have to stick with it. But purpose, that's a hard one to define, truthfully.
Yeah, it's really hard to define. And I think
especially since we don't have any of the answers and we're young, like it's difficult to find our purpose.
So it definitely
will not find our purpose, but find the definition of purpose.
Because we have an idea of what we want to do, what we know we need to do, who we can help, who we can inspire. I'm sure you have people that you want to inspire. I have people that I want to inspire. And those are traits that lay into the definition of purpose.
So we'll definitely define that purpose throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll define that throughout the podcast by asking our guests on what they think the definition of purpose is, and we'll definitely give our input, and we'll find a clear-cut definition to give you guys. So the next definition word we're going to use constantly is responsibility.
Responsibility. Something that I've learned when I was younger. I would always blame other people for my actions, and I would never take responsibility. And once you do learn to take responsibility, it's like a cheat code for growth.
True.
Because once you look at it, right, it's right there in front of you. As soon as you take it, it can give you the power to know how to be responsible, take accountability for yourself.
It's basically a power up and an ability that you can attain that makes you. It's a superpower.
Yeah,
I think
responsibility is a superpower. Because
when you take responsibility, don't think of it as
a burden.
Yes, and don't think of it as it's just something negative that. Because I know taking responsibility for me, especially when it has like a negative connotation to it, like, oh, you did something bad, take responsibility for it. Something simple as if like people drop cups in the calf all the time. Like, you know what I mean? It bounces.
Yeah.
It takes, everybody's looking. But when you're like, oh, it wasn't me, it was him, like,
it just makes you look silly.
It just makes you look silly. But if you're like, all right, everybody, it was me, thank you, sorry. Like, everybody's like,
stop clapping your hands.
Yeah. Everybody think it's funny too, but people respond to it in a lighthearted way. Yeah. And they're like, oh, this guy, he knows he messed up. It's all right.
This guy.
Yeah, this dude.
Look at this dude.
Yeah. But also responsibility that also defines you from a young man or a teen into a man, I feel like, or into an adult. Because I don't want to just get it. Well, I'm using man at this moment because me and Emmanuel are men, or we're guys.
Yeah, we're male.
We're guys. So our
gender is male. So
yeah, so that's the reason why we're using that. It's using that, but yeah, that's what I think. So
yeah, and I would say responsibility is so important, especially when you plan to have kids in the future. You have to know how to be responsible about the food bills, the
even when they're growing up. It's a good example for them to be like, wow, dad takes responsibility for everything he does. And it's reflection to grow. Like, even if it's in like if you do something wrong, like you can just grow from it and look at it in a positive way like that, rather than being like, oh, he just blamed it on me. Why does he always do that? It's not cool. I messed up again. Really? What the heck? Like that mindset also separates you from being a child to an adult too.
Right.
So then the next word we're going to be using often is self-awareness, which we kind of talked about already, but we'll just touch on it again.
Self-awareness, like we said before, I think we said before that self-awareness is key for your growth because you're self-aware of your responsibility. You're self-aware of what you can do better. You're self-aware of how
your actions impact others, of how your actions impact yourself, of how your actions derive you from your purpose.
Yeah, and it's also good to be self-aware of your emotions with your actions.
Very true.
Because there can be a day when you're tired and don't feel like doing anything.
You don't want to talk to anyone.
So you have to be very self-aware, very cautious.
More so keep yourself in check than others.
Yeah, and if someone asks you for a favor and you know that you're very tired, you don't have time to do it, you don't have to do it for them. Because
it's very easy to say no.
Yeah, you can say no. Because when you're tired and doing something for them, then you're not giving 100% of what you could be doing for them. You're not giving the best of yourself. So it's really good to keep yourself in check and be aware of your emotions and your ability to do these things for other people.
Self-awareness is also like another superpower, I feel like, or another ability that you unlock, and you're just a step above other people your age, especially since our age group's 20. Like, just those simple things separate us a lot, or the levels.
Yeah,
because you can identify the good things you do, the bad things you do, how your actions affect others. Like, if you know this person's toxic, if you know you're being toxic, if you're not having an open mind, if you're being too hard on yourself, if you're being too easy on yourself,
those all weigh into
how self-aware you are.
Yeah.
Especially with the emotions thing, I feel like that's important too. Having emotional control. That also separates a teen from an adult.
Definitely.
But anyways, our last definition we have is probably character, or word that we constantly use. How would you define character, and what makes good character?
I would say character is who you are. And when we say good character, it's basically a definition to say who is a good you? What is you? What defines a good you? How are you good? Like,
I suppose this leads into morals and beliefs.
What
kind of values you have. And what what they are.
Yeah, and how those kind of infuse into you. And how
you respond and how you
respond
act
with those beliefs in mind. Yeah, that's good.
So the character traits good character traits, according to teachervision.com, are honest, brave, compassionate, leader, courageous, unselfish, and loyal. I don't have anything negative to say about those. I think those are definitely true. All true.
Yeah, those are really good character traits to have.
Especially in a good person, I definitely think those are true.
Yeah.
People will definitely take advantage of those things. I will definitely say, especially if you have good character and they think you're being too nice, and they'll definitely take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Also, having the self-awareness to say no is important too.
Yeah.
Or like understand when this person is taking advantage of you. That's another example of self-awareness.
Having a self-awareness to know yourself, know other people.
Good character is important too. You could be in the room with people and if all those people are bad, or have bad character and you have good character, it'll definitely show. Like, people can definitely identify it. Because just the way you walk, the way you speak to others, how you treat others, how you even carry yourself, like, You can see it.
Yeah, these are really good reflection questions. You know, it's just making me think now about my life, and I hope your life too, Ernie. You know, about what we could be doing better now that we've asked these questions, how we could improve in each of these definitions.
So that's what we wanted to talk about today, the words we were going to use a lot and ask our guests these questions and constantly use these words that we're also trying to grow and use too. So we're probably going to close because we're around the hour mark. So we wanted to close with... why I wanted to start the podcast with you, Emmanuel. I wanted to start the podcast with Emmanuel because I felt a lot of us have the same questions, especially since we're 20. We already covered it, basically. But
covered this,
just to reiterate, just grow and grow together and understand who we are and why we're here and how to find our purpose. And basically all the questions you guys have, and we wanted you guys to answer them or get your answers to, maybe even to self-reflect on it for maybe an hour, a day, a week, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And if you take time to really think about it, that's us kind of almost doing our job. We're like trying to have you guys reflect on it and grow from the questions that we ask, or hopefully you can ask other people to gain more knowledge and wisdom to get you through basically life. Yeah.
And as for me, why I want to start this podcast is basically everything you said, Ernie. We've had these in-depth conversations, just to reiterate what we talked about beforehand. And we just want to know more about life. We just want to keep growing. We want to be these high-value characters. We want to have all of these visions for our purpose laid out for us. We want to thrive.
Yes, sir. So on that note, follow us on Instagram. I am Ernie Armenta. You can follow me on Instagram at _EArmenta, and you can follow Emmanuel on Instagram as well as
Twitter at Emmanuel LKD.
Follow Emmanuel on every single platform known to man. Every single platform known to man. On
Even
SoundCloud,
no, I'm kidding.
Spotify. Yo.
No, I'm good. I don't have Tinder.
Swipe left.
Hey.
If there was it was a super dislike. Dang. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Super like. Anyways, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Hey, thanks.
And TikTok. All at
Emmanuel LKD. So we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast as much as we did.
Again, thank you. Leave comments or suggestions in the comments, or even DM us with any thoughts or improvements you have for us.
Yeah, and even
on our social media.
Yeah, on our social media. Even some suggestions of what to talk about too.
True.
That'd be interesting.
Or some questions to ask our guests, or we'll have We'll have maybe a question and answer thing that we'll
on Instagram or something.
Yeah, on Instagram, where you can ask us questions that we can ask our next guest, and we'll preview our next guest to where you guys know what questions to ask them.
Right.
And again, I want to thank you guys for listening and
Thanks
tuning
for listening,
in.
Guys.
Hopefully you'll come back again and hang out with us.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
This was the Blindfold Off Podcast, and I'd like to thank you. My name is Ernie.
My name is Emmanuel, and we're out.